What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the January 23rd episode of WWE Monday Night Raw, the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. So, tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, the 30th episode anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Brought back a lot of memories, a lot of video recaps, which they kind of do at these anniversary shows for Monday Night Raw. For me, it brought back a lot of memories because I saw the first Monday Night Raw, and actually, I go as far back as watching the transition from primetime wrestling to Monday Night Raw back in 1993. Yes, I've been watching it that long. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But no, this was pretty. The first hour was, I loved the first hour. Man, this was pretty good. But once we got into the second hour and then the third hour, it's hard to say. I know it's split on social media and just with WWE fans and wrestling fans that, the first hour was great and, it's garbage and trash the second hour. And, there's other people like, oh, man, it was a great show overall. And I see both sides. I don't particularly, it's trash or, it's the greatest or anything. I do see both sides and I understand where everybody's coming from, which, again, this is pro wrestling and it's subjective. What somebody may like, another person may not like, and vice versa, and all that whole thing. But no, man, this was a pretty fun show. There were some things that happened that were just like, huh? Like, all right. We do got to keep in mind that this Saturday is the Royal Rumble, so there might have been a few tweaks to this show that will probably be brought up at the Royal Rumble this Saturday or on SmackDown, but I do feel it's going to be more on Royal Rumble, and especially the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. So I'm looking forward to it. The Royal Rumble, man, I love WrestleMania, but man, Royal Rumble, it has a special place in my heart because it is one of the funnest wrestling events to watch because of the concept of the Royal Rumble, and especially with the women's Royal Rumble match being added several years ago. So it's just two Royal Rumble matches. It's like you got all this talent. Like, man, this is so much fun. But enough of me talking about that. I'm going to give you guys the results. Then I'll just break down quickly what transpired on this episode of Monday Night Raw. I do got to add that it was the 30th anniversary of Raw. But what was interesting, and it's not a bad thing, you could say this is just an observation of this. It was an anniversary, but yet at the same time, it's hard to say, man. It was an anniversary, but it just didn't. I'm not gonna say just didn't, but it was heavy in the first hour, and then in the second and third hour, it was just very vague. Like you guys have been watching my reviews with SmackDown and everything, and Raw. Like, it's just been very vague storytelling with WWE outside of the Bray and Roman storyline, which all happened in the first hour. So I think that's what kind of, like, I don't want to say threw off the show for me, but just felt like it wasn't a balanced show. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. It just didn't feel like a balanced show. It was a fun show, but it didn't feel balanced. You put the Bloodline and Sammy in the first hour, and then you have Bray in the first hour, and then the second and third hour is just like, all right. Like, if they would have spread it out where you had the Bloodline start the first hour and have Bray and his whole thing be that bridge between the second and third hour, would have been cool. But yeah, it was just really interesting how they did this. But I'm looking forward to the Royal Rumble. My picks for the winners of the Royal Rumble, I do not see anybody else but Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble. And for the women's Royal Rumble, my favorite is Rhea Ripley. Those are the two that, when you look at it, as far as momentum and then who stand out, where it's like, okay, from a momentum standpoint, they should be the winners. Then from just the aspect of who stands out from both the men's and women's rosters, Cody and Rhea Ripley stand out. So it's just like, you know what? Those are the ones that I see personally that could win. And we could get that Rhea Ripley Bianca Belair match at WrestleMania, and we could also get Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, which, fingers crossed, I hope it happens that way. I tweeted this tonight during Raw that with all the changes that have happened, and plus the stuff that I'm going to go into that transpired, it does look like there might be some changes going on. And one of my concerns about this year's WrestleMania, that it could end up like WrestleMania 8. And by that I mean, going back to WrestleMania 8, leading up to it, Ric Flair, in 1991, he joined the WWF in the fall. Or actually, I think it was September 1991. So right away, everyone's like, we're going to get Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania. We're going to get Hogan and Flair at WrestleMania. And the months were building and building, and then the Royal Rumble 92, which was one of the best, if not the greatest Royal Rumble happened. Flair wins, and there's a press conference, and then Ric Flair's opponent's going to be Hulk Hogan, and then it changes, and we wound up getting Ric Flair and Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and Sid, and Hulk Hogan's last match, which he just can't. Like, it was just really, it should have been greater than what it was, and it wasn't. And that's still talked about till this day from, wrestling fans my age and, older and stuff like that. And even people that revisions, like, man, how did that not happen? So yeah, that's one of my concerns, that it could end up that way. I'm not saying it is going to end up that way. Hopefully, with Triple H there, please let it not end up like that, because, man, if somehow we don't get Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania and we get something else, man, that's tough. Even, like, for me personally, even if we get Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, granted, that's a storyline. It's the storyline of WWE, and you could arguably say of professional wrestling. It does still feel like, man, like, Cody should be there unless they do a triple threat. And I think that's one thing that nobody's talked about. Like, could we get a triple threat match at WrestleMania? Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, and Cody Rhodes. Something to think about. And of course, one of the odds-on favorites for a WrestleMania match is the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which logically that makes sense. But then again, we're talking about the WWE, and of course, with everything that's happened with Vince McMahon coming back, fingers crossed, and just hope that it gets there, because things can change. But let's get into this Raw, man, because there's a lot to talk about this 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. So we start off with, unexpectedly, Hulk Hogan coming out and introducing the crowd with Jimmy Hart. And as he's talking, the mic is going out. Like, he wound up getting a bad mic, and he's talking and the mic's cutting out. And then eventually, as he's trying to deliver a promo, the mic just cuts out, and you see a stagehand come from his right shoulder, and he comes around and he gives a mic, and he does that. And I don't know, it was just really awkward. And when that happened, my reaction to it was, oh damn, I hope the show goes pretty well, because, man, that is not a good sign that the mic's going out with the person you bring out for the introduction, and it's Hulk Hogan, and he's been in the news lately, and just the whole history of everything that surrounds Hulk Hogan in the last 8 years. So it's just like, and it was interesting because it is the anniversary of Hulk Hogan defeating the Iron Sheik in 1984, and I don't recall them mentioning that. So it's just one of those weird, interesting things that happened. Thankfully, what came after that, man, that was gold. This was gold, man. So after that, we get the Bloodline, Sami Zayn trial. Excuse me, and everybody comes out. Get a big ECW chant because it's in Philadelphia. Paul Heyman's there, and he mentions ECW's dead, and I wish the same for Sami Zayn. Then there's Sami chants, and Paul Heyman shows all this evidence of why Sami Zayn should get kicked out of the Bloodline. He shows, Sami running from McIntyre attacking the Usos. Then Survivor Series, the whole 4 Live thing, and then him bumping Roman Reigns, and he just tells him he's guilty as charged. When all that was happening, and one thing that came to my mind, and this was my reaction to the part of Paul Heyman, was everyone's focusing on Sami Zayn getting kicked out of the Bloodline. And if you've been watching wrestling for more than 30 years, you know that Paul Heyman has the track record of turning on anybody he manages in pro wrestling. That is his track record. And the way Paul Heyman was being very accusatory to Sami Zayn and the evidence, and he's not this. We need to be reminded, Paul Heyman isn't Bloodline either. So it's not far-fetched to think that Paul Heyman would turn on the Bloodline and use Sami Zayn to turn on him. Granted, I'm not saying that's going to happen or something like that, but it's something not far-fetched to think about. And a few weeks ago, I was talking about the whole logical way that they could kick Sami Zayn out and everything. And I never saw this thing being presented, the trial by court and Paul Heyman bringing the evidence and everything. But it does make me think, like, damn, is Paul Heyman is he going to turn on the Bloodline? Like, nobody's expecting that. And one key word that Roman used, I believe it was Friday, and he used the term, go start your own family. Key thing, he said, go start your own family. And I think a lot of people overlook that. I'm like, this is interesting. So Sami Zayn, his response after Paul Heyman had all this evidence and everything, he's like, what do you think I'm doing? What, I'm coming for his titles? And Roman's response was, what, there's so much ego, you're not fighting for me? And Roman's just, man, he is upset. And he says, Solo, get him. And Solo has his hand on Sami Zayn as he's sitting in his chair, and he has a Samoan Spike pose. And he's about to do it before, I didn't see this coming, freaking Jey Uso stops Solo from hitting Sami Zayn. And my reaction was like, holy crap, I didn't see this coming. Yo, where is this going? And for me, I'm still thinking like, okay, this might be a swerve, and they're going to kick Sami Zayn out. And I think right now, not only me, but like many people are thinking like anything that happens in the Bloodline could lead to a swerve where, they're with Sami, but no, they could swerve. Like, it's just everybody's anticipating the swerve in every aspect with this Bloodline storyline. Comment below what you guys think about this whole Bloodline thing, and does it feel like everything they do is like it feels like a swerve, but it's not a swerve, and all that fun stuff. So Jey Uso stops him, and he presents his defense, and he shows all the times that Sami Zayn pretty much sacrificed his body for them to win. He took a chair shot from, what's it, Drew McIntyre. He took a Claymore. He took just a whole bunch of stuff. And Jey Uso's like, hey, he believed the good in me when I didn't, and that's what family does. And as it's going on, you just feel this shift of like, okay, like, same as Heyman's got something up his sleeve. Like, that's the way I took it. Like, Paul Heyman has something up his sleeve, and everyone's focused on Sami, and nobody's paying attention to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has something up his sleeve because let's remember, Paul Heyman was Brock Lesnar's manager, and he did mention it was the Monday Night Raw promo when there was a snowstorm back in 20, I think it was 2015 when they were headed towards WrestleMania 31. And Heyman mentioned, yeah, I'm close with your family and everything, but you're not up to Brock Lesnar's stature. And of course, we also got to remember, like, why, like, what was his real reason for joining Roman Reigns? And remember that timing when he joined Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns had a legitimate reason to just be angry and just be the tribal chief. Why did Paul Heyman join him when he had Brock Lesnar? Really interesting. So after Jey Uso says what he says about Sami Uso, about him being family and everything, Roman Reigns, he replies, Sami Zayn, you're not guilty for now. And he mentions that Jey Uso bought you much time. And he tells Sami Zayn, I don't want to see you till the Royal Rumble. You got some business to finish tonight. But after that, I don't want to see you till the Royal Rumble. And then you got to prove yourself. This whole segment was literally, this was the best thing about Monday Night Raw, the 30th anniversary. This whole segment, how it happened. And then, of course, the match after with the Usos and Judgment Day, that's added to this. Yeah, this was just gold, man. This has to be the best WWE storyline since, I want to say, I went as far back as Triple H and The Rock from 2000, but I got to say, this is probably the best storyline since the Daniel Bryan Authority storylines in 2013. I believe that's a more fair assessment of the Bloodline storyline. Like, this is the best since then, and that was 10 years ago, which is crazy to think about. That was 10 years ago. But yeah, man, this is intriguing. I'm really interested to see what happens on SmackDown, and I'm very interested and invested on what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble this Saturday, because after Royal Rumble is a little stop at the Elimination Chamber, but man, we are headed to WrestleMania and Los Angeles, and whew, man, this is going to be fun. 2 nights WrestleMania, this is going to be fun. How this works out. So we get the Usos Judgment Day. The turning point in this tag team match was when Jey Uso, he did a dive over the top and he was favoring his knee. And at first it looked like it was really legit. And I'm like, oh God, not another injury in pro wrestling. Like, no. And the ref comes out, Adam Pearce comes out, and they're walking to the back. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are helping Jimmy to the back, and Adam Pearce is like, since you can't go, you have to forfeit the match, and you have to forfeit the titles. And the crowd's like, oh, and Sami Zayn's like, no, we're not having that. Look, I'm not letting that happen. If we're going to do anything, I'll take his place. I'll defend those titles with Jey Uso. And I love the chemistry between Sami Zayn and the Usos. So after that, Sammy gets in, and Jay, they just start clean. They just start. The match just goes to another level. I love it. And we get Sammy chants. Then Sammy executes the exploder in the turnbuckle. Then you had a further later on in this match, you had Damian Priest execute a choke slam, and then Dominic Mysterio, he attempted a pin on Sami Zayn in his kick out. Then you had Dom execute a 619. Then Sammy stopped the pin. Then you wound up getting Jey Uso getting the upper hand. He super kick, and then him and Sami Zayn executed the 1D for the pin. So the Usos retain the WWE Tag Team Championship. That match added to that first segment. Honestly, and I know I haven't gone through the rest of this show, if you want to watch the best part of Monday Night Raw, it's literally the first 30 minutes. 45 minutes. That's it. That is the best part of this show. Man, like I said, I'm really interested to see where the Sami Zayn Bloodline storyline, but I think a lot of people are underestimating what Paul Heyman is capable of doing, and the fact that Paul Heyman could be plotting to do something against the Bloodline, especially the way he was acting tonight during the trial and everything. And it's just like, and the way his facial expressions and everything, and he's looking at Roman, and it's just something is sneaky with Paul Heyman, man. And from a presentation standpoint, let me know what you guys think about this. But it does. Sami Zayn character comes across very authentic and transparent. Paul Heyman's character just comes off, oh, he's the wise man. I think it's one of those things where Paul Heyman's character is kind of like, we're kind of asleep to it. Like, oh, he's with them, and because he's been with them so long. Oh, he's with them. He's with the Bloodline. He's going to do what's best interest for the Bloodline, and we're underestimating that Paul Heyman, 99% of the people he has managed throughout his career, he has turned on. We're forgetting about that. So I think there could be a swerve with Paul Heyman and the Bloodline. And I think we're so focused on Sami Zayn, like he's going to get kicked out. Mind you, that could happen, but we're also, like I said, we're underestimating that Paul Heyman could be plotting something against the Bloodline. Yes, I said that. Comment below if you think the same way after tonight's segment with the trial and everything. Comment below. Let me tell me what you guys thought. So after that, I mean, basically we get, of course, Roman says, I don't want to see him until Saturday. Then we get a backstage segment with Bradshaw and Baron Corbin. They run into the Godfather. And, of course, it's to go into the poker. Everything's about poker with Bradshaw and Corbin, which, all right, whatever. And Ron Simmons comes out. He greets Bradshaw. Yeah, man, what's up? Yeah. And Godfather's like, no, you can't come in. And they come out with this money. And they give them money. And then Ron Simmons is like, well, I think you can come in. And Godfather's like, oh, I see you on the list. Yeah, you're on the list. Yeah, you could go in there. And you have a mix of current WWE superstars and legends in there. Ted DiBiase was there. Medusa, DDP, Urban R. Sykester. Trying to think of who else, what other legends were in there. So you have them in there. And that was basically it. And like there's a couple more segments like this. Like, it was just very, very vague. So from there, we get LA Knight. So when he comes out, right away, I'm like, yeah, we're getting Bray Wyatt. Now, mind you, like I said, the first hour was great. The first 45 minutes were probably the best of the entire show. But, you know, this LA Knight segment, like I mentioned, like, it should have been more later in the show. Maybe that bridge between the second and third hour. Because, I mean, this is the second biggest storyline that people are interested in outside of the Bloodline. And, of course, this storyline has some detractors, and I could see why people say this storyline's dragging with Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy and Bliss and that whole thing. I could see that because after these storylines, outside of Bloodline, Sammy, and Bray, Don't worry, I'll wait. It's very vague outside of that. So LA Knight comes out. He mentions everybody, people are living in the past. The legends in the back are living in the past. He's like, I challenge any legends who's got any testicular fortitude to come out. And the gong hits. Undertaker comes out, but we don't get the dead man Undertaker. We get the American badass Undertaker. So he comes out on a bike. I think the bike wasn't start because you've seen the front wheel come out a little bit. Then he rolled to the ring. So LA Knight, he mentions, I agree with you that the locker room being soft. I'll give you a pass. Lights go out. Bray Wyatt comes out. He scares LA Knight because LA Knight's walking to the back in the dark, and then you see the lantern. He's right behind him, so LA Knight gets in the ring. Then Taker attempts to chokeslam him. Then he throws him to Bray Wyatt, who's in the ring, and Bray Wyatt executes his sister Abigail. And then Undertaker walks past Bray Wyatt, and he whispers something, and many people took it like a passing of the torch. I could see that. It did feel like a passing of the torch, like the dead man to the eater of the worlds, like that whole vibe thing. Just the way Bray Wyatt has been presented, I'm wondering, like, man, is this Bray Wyatt's version of the American Badass the way it was for Undertaker? Like, is it that parallel happening with Bray Wyatt? But again, they still haven't explained what a pitch black match is, sponsored by Mountain Dew. So we just got to wait and see what happens at Royal Rumble and how this match plays out. I know a lot of people are just wanting to see Bray Wyatt go to that next level. And by next level, where is the story going after this? Because it's been October. And since he's debuted, and it's just like, okay, can we speed this along? Can we get this going? So we shall see. So, like I said, that was the second best segment of the night, and everything else was just vague. After this, like, granted, you had DX and Kurt Angle. It was pretty funny and everything, but you could say that was the third best thing, but the timing of it was really hindered because after the LA Knight segment, you go back to the poker segment, and again, these segments were just time fillers. That's realistically, that's what they were. They were time fillers. I can't say it's a bad thing because when you're scripting a show, especially 3 hours, and you want to space things out, certain segments like this are needed. From a production standpoint, I understand it. From a presentation standpoint, as a viewer, it's boring. But again, I see both sides and everything. So, it was alright. It's like, alright, whatever. And then we get to Bayley and Becky Lynch in the steel cage match. And this was probably the most anticipated thing about the Raw 30th anniversary. The Becky Lynch Bayley steel cage match. Because, like, man, it's the first steel cage match in 19 years on Raw and everything. And it's just like, alright, cool. They're going to go at it. It's like, alright, cool. And they don't go at it. Becky Lynch is attempting to get in the ring, and Dakota Kai and Io Sky, they attack Becky Lynch. They bring her in the ring. They lock the cage. They just beat the hell out of her. Adam Pearce comes. He gets some bolt cutters, cuts the lock, gets in the ring. All three Damage Control are up on the ring or on the cage, and that was it. And of course, came out as the show went on that the first segment, the Bloodline and Sami Zayn, that segment went a little bit longer, so they had to cut time. And we did get another women's match later on, Bianca Belair and Sonya Deville, which felt more like a match that I don't want to say you would see on WWE Main Event, but it had that vibe of WWE Main Event. Like, it didn't fit on Monday Night Raw, and it's nothing against Bianca Belair or Sonya Deville. Is just things that transpired before that, leading to that, just it didn't fit. And once this happened, and people were like, "Oh man, we're not getting this match," like, yo, like, we were looking forward to this match, and it did not happen. Maybe we get it SmackDown. Maybe we get something at Royal Rumble with a digital exclusive or something like that. Maybe that happens. I was looking forward to this match because I'm like, oh man, steel cage match, Becky Lynch and Bayley. All right, man, this should be cool. It's Monday night. All right, cool. Let's see it then. We didn't get it. So from that moment, I could say from that moment when the no contest happened with Becky Lynch and Bayley from the steel cage match, the crowd, mind you, there were certain spots the crowd was, it's a Philadelphia crowd. That's a wrestling crowd. But it did feel like Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair not having the steel cage match, you saw the enthusiasm of the crowd kind of lower. That's the way it came across on television. Maybe it was different in the arena. Let me guys know if you guys were there. How was the atmosphere after the Becky Lynch, Bayley, steel cage match? Didn't happen. How did that happen? But yeah, it just felt like the enthusiasm just lowered, and it just didn't pick back up to where it was before the Bayley, Bianca Belair or Bayley, Becky Lynch steel cage match, and yeah, it just didn't feel like it picked up after. It just went. The enthusiasm was here, and then it just went. It was like, all right, we'll just see how this goes and how this plays out, and that's just how it came across. Then we get DX coming out with Kurt Angle, and right away I'm like, what the hell is Kurt Angle coming out with DX? At first I thought it was Billy Gunn. I was like, oh, cool. They got Billy Gunn. Oh, dope. And then it's like, oh, wait, that's Kurt Angle. Why the hell is Kurt Angle here? So, of course, this was a setup for the Imperium who came out and, oh, this is filth. And, of course, DX had great, funny humor. I found it funny. And it's like chuckled and everything. I'm retired. I'm not standing up to Gunther. Road Dogg, I'm not standing up to Shawn Michaels. Nope, I'm retired. Sean Waltman's like, nope. And they're like, you know what? Who would, Triple H's like, who could, stand up to Gunther? Seth Rollins comes out, and then X-Pac's like, well, we need 2 more people. Then the Street Profits come out, and then they're like, well, we need a ref. Kurt Angle had like 3 shirts on. He had his American shirt, and he had a DX shirt, and he had a referee shirt. So he's like, I'll ref the match. And this was a decent match. This was a fun match. I like the combination of Seth Rollins and the Street Profits. Fun combo. I hope they do that more. You can tell they're leaning into Seth Rollins being a face. I don't see him and Cody Rhodes having a WrestleMania match because Seth Rollins getting a huge reaction. Cody Rhodes is returning, but it doesn't justify it for them to have a match. Granted, they had a Hell in a Cell match, and that was Cody's last match. Yeah, but Cody Rhodes got injured from working out. Like, it had nothing to do with Seth Rollins injuring him. So it doesn't, from a logical sense, it doesn't make sense to put them there. It just have Cody come back and go for that world title. I think that's where it should be. I forgot to mention that Teddy Long did announce the match, and I was kind of looking forward to him saying, you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. Wait, I was expecting that, but it didn't happen. We get Street Profits and Seth Rollins versus the Imperium. The Street Profits put Kaiser and Vinci in ankle locks, and of course Gunther interrupted and interfered, and then he started chastising Kurt Angle for allowing it. Then you had Gunther later on after that. He dropkicked Seth Rollins into the turnbuckle, which is, man, I love that move that he does, that dropkick into the turnbuckle. Man, Gunther is such a good wrestler, man. That guy is fun to watch, man. So he did that. Then he did a power bomb. Seth Rollins kicked out. Then you had an angle slam from Seth Rollins. You had a superplex by Seth Rollins. Then you had the Street Profits execute a super blockbuster. That was so damn impressive to see them execute that. Then you had a pedigree from Seth Rollins on Gunther. And you had Montez Ford execute a little bit later on, execute a frog splash on Kaiser, which that allowed Seth Rollins to execute the stomp, pin, they get the win. So Seth Rollins and the Street Profits get the win. Dope match. Like I said, I like the chemistry of Seth Rollins and the Street Profits together. I do gotta say, man, the Imperium are low key. If they added a fourth person to their group, man, they could be one of the top heel factions in WWE. Considering that eventually you're gonna have the Bloodline kind of like not go away, but turn face. So you need that next top heel group to kind of replace them. And I'm sorry, man, Gunther is the man. Kaiser and what's Giancarlo Vinci? Like those two guys, they're great workers and they're great alongside of Gunther. So man, if they added a fourth person with them, like man, that would be a chef's kiss. And let's face it, Gunther has the Intercontinental title, but that guy should be holding either the Universal title or the WWE Championship by next year. Like he should be in that conversation. Like, oh, he's challenging for the WWE Championship. Maybe we get Gunther and Cody Rhodes, which, whoo, that's a good match right there. So we shall see. After that, we get Poker Game. Another time filler. $1 Million Man wins. IRS comes in and he's like, you need to pay your taxes. He takes the money and then he gives them like $100 bill and that's it. And of course, Ron Simmons, damn, that was basically it. Then we get a backstage segment with Bobby Lashley. And lately they've been teasing the hurt business. So Lashley's like, they asked him, why did it become a no DQ? And he's like, I don't need, we don't need any of that. And MVP's like, hey, if you need anything, I'm here, And Bobby Lashley's like, I don't need you guys. I don't need you guys to win and everything. And right away when he said that, I'm like, something's gonna happen with him. In the main event against the Austin Theory, that he's gonna need the Hurt Business. And by that time, I didn't see the tweet that was going around that Brock Lesnar was at the 30th anniversary of Raw. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh shit, Lesnar's going to interfere in a Lashley match. And I'm like, either Lesnar's gonna cost him the match, or Lesnar's going to attack him, which the Hurt Business will come and help Bobby Lashley, where he's going to have that look like, okay, I do need these guys. So, unfortunately, the latter did not happen. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But MVP's like, hey, you know where to find me. Cool. And the cool thing about this is MVP's not forcing it, but he's allowing Bobby Lashley to walk this path of, all right, man, you find your own way. I know that I see what I see, and you need us because these people are doing some shady things to you in your matches, and you're not winning. And when you had us backing you, you were winning. So I do see that where that's coming from. We get Ric Flair coming out. He introduces Charlotte Flair. Charlotte, she's like, this is where the revolution of women's wrestling, the revolution of women's wrestling. And it was kind of interesting when she said that because, mind you, this comes after the whole Becky Lynch, Bianca or Bayley no contest steel cage match, and it's just like lately the women on both Raw and SmackDown have had barely any time. Honestly, it's crazy, but the women in NXT get more screen time than the women on Raw and SmackDown lately, and that's saying something. So yeah, she says that. She mentions Rousey, the Bellas, Ripley, Asuka. They made me better. Bianca Belair comes out. She's like, this is my show, and they're basically complimenting each other. Sonya Deville comes out, and she's like, are you guys gonna give someone else the spotlight besides yourselves? So Charlotte's like, you know what? I'll do with you on SmackDown, but this isn't my show. This is Bianca Belair's show, and Bianca, you can have at it. So you have Bianca challenges Sonya Deville. We get Sonya Deville and Bianca Belair, and this, like I said, this match felt like something you would see on Main Event. Just the way it came across, and it I don't know, man. The match just didn't connect for me. Let me know what you guys think about the Bianca Belair Sonya Deville match. And mind you, I've been advocating on my reviews for the past 2 months that Sonya Deville should be the manager of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. We don't know what's going to happen with that since Ronda Rousey lost the belt. But yeah, this match, it just, like I said, after the Bayley, Becky Lynch, no contest, steel cage match, is like I said, the enthusiasm just went down. It picked up a little bit with the Seth Street Profits Imperium match, but it didn't get back to that level that it was before the Bayley, Becky Lynch, steel cage match. It's like the enthusiasm just went. It was like, all right, let's see what happens with this Bobby Lashley. And I think by that time, and by that time I mean around the Bianca Belair, Sonya Deville match, I think a lot of people were anticipating, hey, man, we got Lashley and MVP talking, like, man, we'll probably get the Hurt Business reunited tonight, so, man, it'll be a great episode. Yeah, that didn't happen. And I was anticipating that. Maybe you guys were anticipating. Let me know what you guys think. If you were anticipating the Hurt Business reuniting at the end of Raw with Bobby Lashley, like, were you anticipating that? I surely was, but didn't happen. So yeah, Bianca Belair, I mean, she did the KOD pin, and that was basically it. Then you had Alexa Bliss come on the screen after Bianca Belair challenge, calling her out, and she's like, "I am your only obstacle, and it's going to enjoy me." And this was very graphic. He's like, I'm going to enjoy tearing your eyes out while you watch me walk out as the WWE Raw Women's champion. And now that I think about it, I think Bianca Belair might lose. I think we might get that. I think Bianca Belair might lose to Alexa Bliss at Royal Rumble, or Alexa Bliss loses and she becomes even darker after Royal Rumble. So one or two ways. So we get that. We'll get another video package of Cody Rhodes coming back. Great video package, but it's just like, all right, we know he's coming back. We just want to see him at the Royal Rumble come back. And, wrestling has more than one family. Adrenaline in my, like, man, I just want to see that again. He's got a dope interest. I love it, and I love his work as a wrestler. Like, I just enjoy Cody Rhodes matches and just his whole presentation. I enjoy it. Then we get a video package of WWE 2K23. That looks like a really dope game. Love it. Get Miz TV. KO comes out, stuns the Miz, and he says Roman Reigns is guilty for holding the Universal title hostage for 2 years. Key thing, Universal title. And there's something to pay attention to, because the WWE is subtly making a distinction of what people are going after. They're not saying, undisputed tag team titles. No, the Raw titles, the SmackDown titles, the Universal title, the WWE champion. They're really just bringing a lot of distinction to the titles that the Bloodline holds. So that's something to pay attention to. So maybe Roman drops that Universal title to KO at Royal Rumble. Hey, we could get Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the Universal title at WrestleMania. Possibility. So after that, we get Theory and Lashley. It's a back and forth match. The turning point in this match was when Theory brought out the extinguisher underneath the ring, hit Lashley. Later on, you had Lashley execute a superplex. Then Lashley had the Hurt Lock, and Theory escaped. That led to Bobby Lashley throwing Theory into a table. Then, after like maybe a couple minutes, Brock Lesnar music hits. Lesnar comes out. He does an F5 to Lashley, and then he does an F5 to Theory, which allows Theory, as he does it, Theory lands on Lashley. The ref counts 1, 2, 3. Theory retains the United States Championship. And as the Corey Graves is talking, like, they just cut to Barmageddon right after. So there was no until next time, and we'll see. Like, it was none of that. It just cut abruptly. So very weird ending to Monday Night Raw, this whole 30th episode. Of course, I know it's leading to MVP talking to Lashley like, hey, you got Theory, you got Lesnar, you got all these people that are coming out and attacking you. Look, when you had us backing you, you didn't have to worry about that. With your backup, there you go. And man, I'm looking forward to freaking the Hurt Business reuniting with Omos. Oh, man. That's perfect for Omos, man. Be the freaking bodyguard for the Hurt Business. Like, man, that's so sweet, man. But yeah, the ending, it was just really weird. I don't know, maybe they might announce during the week that we got Lashley and Lesnar at Royal Rumble, or they might save it for the Rumble, and we might get that at Elimination Chamber and then Rumble. I don't know how it is, but yeah, overall, like I said, the best segment of the night was the Bloodline Sami Zayn trial, then the match, the Usos and Judgment Day. After that, it was decent the first hour, but man, after that, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Steel Cage, no contest. Like I said, the enthusiasm just dropped and slightly went up with Seth and Street Profits versus Imperium, but it just never regained. And then the ending, everyone's just like, yo, like, we saw this same ending or similar ending of Lesnar costing, what the hell? Who the hell fell? Oh well. Of Lesnar costing Lashley the title like a couple weeks ago. So it's just like, all right, it is what it is. But man, other than that, I mean, it was a fun show. There's a lot of things that, a lot of people can disagree about and, not like, and other people like. So like I said, it's all subjective. What one person may like, another person may not like, and vice versa. For me, I enjoyed the Bloodline Sami Zayn segment. That was my thing. And then after that, it was just like, all right, this is just, we'll see where this goes when we get to SmackDown and Royal Rumble. And after Royal Rumble, then we'll go from there. But no, I'm stoked for Royal Rumble. Like, I just want to see who the surprises are. For both the men and women's matches. Probably going to get Matt Cardona, Chelsea Green, possibly Leo Rush, Nick Aldis, maybe Tama Tonga and Hikuleu, Jay White. Who knows? We might get those guys. Maybe we do. But I don't know, man. That was this is how I felt tonight. It was really, it started off weird with Hulk Hogan and the mic issue, but started off strong, and then it just kind of like just the enthusiasm and then it just stayed the course. And it wasn't bad. It was just like I said, very vague. WWE storyline outside of the Bray, Sammy, Bloodline storyline is like just very vague, man. And you just got to watch to see where this goes. So it's going to be an interesting road to WrestleMania after the Rumble, but we shall see. So that is my review for the January 23rd episode of Monday Night Raw, the 30th anniversary edition. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, see what happens at Royal Rumble. But with that, I'm out, guys.